Those who know, others can open. Why don't you open and give them the page? Then you be prompt. Manish, you should also help. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padkamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurandi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gauranga Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunnavadi Ashyata Deshatarine Hare Krishna. Because you are, just beginning to attend, so I'll just very briefly give you the overview in the first chapter. The first chapter is the setting of the scene. The armies are arrayed on the both sides. The battle is about to begin. And Arjuna has a doubt in his heart. And he expresses that doubt to Krishna and he gives 5 reasons. Although Krishna has accepted to become the charioteer. Like I have come here. Why have I come here? To speak, to discuss. And after coming here, I decide that I will not speak. There is some element of doubt. So Arjuna gives many arguments. Although he himself selected Krishna to be his chariot driver. And when Krishna tactfully placed the chariot between the 2 opposing parties, Arjuna's heart was filled with compassion and lamentation. And he gives 5 arguments that why he will not fight. First argument he gives is of compassion. He says, if I fight and if I kill, people will be slain. So I don't want to kill. Let alone the kingdom, I can let the kingdom go. Let the Kauravas retain the kingdom and enjoy. And second, he says, if I win also, still I cannot enjoy. Because the one with whom I will enjoy the kingdom, they will be killed. So what is the use of enjoying the kingdom? You take care. Go and take some hot water. Then come back. And so he gives that argument, and then he gives the argument of sinful reaction. That if he kills his elders, he will get sinful reactions. And then he gives another argument of destruction of the dynasty. that if all men are killed, then women will become unchaste. And from unchaste women, the population will be, the progeny will be adulterated. So Arjuna gives many, many reasons, arguments. And Krishna begins to speak. So in the first chapter, Krishna does not speak. So first chapter, it is Arjuna who is mainly speaking. And Arjuna is giving his arguments. So it represents a conditioned soul, a one who is in this material world. The person in this material world, he thinks that he knows what is best for him. And in his view, whatever is his opinion is the ideal. So Arjuna is representing this conditioned soul who is bewildered. He is confused. He is perplexed. But still, he wants to continue with his own idea, with his own opinion. He does not want to seek help. He doesn't want to seek guidance. So Arjuna is in such a situation. The situation is very regrettable that he cannot come out of the situation and he cannot accept the situation. So he is in a perplexed situation. He is checkmated. He is completely checkmated. But in the second chapter, some, goodwill prevails and he inquires from Krishna that in such a situation, what should I do? You please suggest. And when he inquires from Krishna, so Krishna begins to give him the knowledge. First, knowledge which Krishna gives, this is the foundation of spiritual life. That is the Atma Gyan. Because everyone is taking decision based on thinking that what he is or what will make him happy. Right or wrong? What is the basis criteria of our taking decisions? What is the criteria? What we feel will make us happy. But without knowing who we are, how can we be happy? So Krishna first gives, to dispel the illusion of Arjuna, Krishna gives this knowledge of Atma Gyan. So this we have been discussing for last many, many sessions. And this knowledge is not given anywhere. And this knowledge is the king of all knowledge. Does anyone have the understanding who we are? We may, claim, or we may, think that we know a lot. But what is the value of our knowing when we do not know who we are? There's a complete serious disconnect. So Krishna gives this knowledge and he first gives this understanding that what you are considering yourself is the body. But beyond body is the true self, which is soul Atma. So you are mixing. You are mixing the eternal with the temporary. But to the extent we are confused to what we are, there will be always troubles in our life. There will always be situations of bewilderment. We will always remain confused. We will not be able to decide what to do and what not to do. Why? Because we are taking the temporary to be the self. So Krishna gives this jnana, this is the Atma Gyan. And he defeats the argument of compassion, which Arjuna puts forward. Why? Because he says, what you are thinking that you will kill is not possible. You cannot kill anyone. It's not possible for you to kill. Well, Krishna gives this understanding that the real self is eternal. And they are always present. So the first learning that Krishna gives, that is in the second chapter, in the 12th verse, he begins. So I'll just run through those verses and I'll come to today's verse so that you can connect. The first, Krishna chastises Arjuna and he says, you are speaking as if you are a very learned person, as if you know what is right, what is wrong, what is dharma, what is adharma. But you are actually lamenting for what which is not worth. So that means you are not situated in knowledge. Krishna tells that you are lamenting for those people who are assembled on the opposite side. So they were always there. They existed in the past. And they will also exist in the future. How? The transmigration of the soul. Okay? Soul is continuously transmigrating from one body to another body, from one species to another species. But can science detect that? The science detection is that we were what? Apes and monkeys before, and now we have become humans. Is it true? If that was true, then there would not be any species like monkey today. Isn't it? Everyone would have turned human. Right or wrong? Basic, very simple question. If we all came from apes and monkeys, so over the period of evolution, all the monkeys would become humans now. There would not be any monkey race. But you have monkeys or you don't have monkeys? We have monkeys. Because monkeys were always monkeys and humans were always humans. This is bogus speculation. This is the speculation. So Krishna says they always existed before. Never there was a time when I did not exist, nor you, Arjuna, nor all these kings, nor in future shall any one of them cease to be. So first knowledge which Krishna gives is the eternal existence of the soul. And the soul is individual. Individual means that it cannot be merged. Neither it can be merged, nor it can be cleavable. Cleavable, you understand? Cut. So the individuality of the soul will always exist. So our existence is always individual. Everyone is distinct. That is why we see so much of variety. Even two twins who are born from the same womb of the mother, from the same father, they have exactly everything same, but are they same? Why? Because this is the individuality of the soul. Both are distinct. So no two persons can be same. Why? Because this is the constitution of the soul. That is why we see there is so much of variety. There is so much of variegatedness. So Krishna explains this first principle that both the living entity is individual and it is eternal. Its existence can never be terminated. Okay? So if we are situated in this knowledge, we will be free of the greatest fear. What is the greatest fear we have? Death. There is no death. Death is only for the body, but body is our only covering. So why we should fear? And then Krishna explains how it happens. He says there are two separate levels or entities. One is made of matter, that is the body, which is the deha, this body. And the other is the dehi. Dehi means who is the owner of the body or the master of the body, which lives inside the body. But it is not visible. Is it visible? No, it is not visible. Why it is not visible? Because it is very minuscule. Or the reason for that is because from matter, through the matter, we cannot see spirit. Because our eyes are material. They are made of the 5 gross elements. So matter is not qualified or it is not capable to see the spirit. So Krishna gives the discourse and he explains in so many verses. And he gives the principle that like the living entity in the form when he takes birth, he is a small boy. And the boy becomes a youth, like you are all there. So that body is gone. That boyhood body is gone. You have become youth. But this body will exist. Old age will come. Can anyone stop old age? No. So this body will be lost. And similarly, at the time of death, the soul migrates into another body. We have already changed so many bodies in this life. The body of a 2-year boy, where is it? No more. 10-year, no more. 15-year, no more. Even 20-year, no more. So constantly we are changing the body. So, but a person who is situated in knowledge, he is not bewildered. So Krishna is giving this gyan so that our bewilderment can be removed. And then he gives the principle of Sat and Asat. In the 15th, 16th verse, he says that that which is Asat or temporary, its existence cannot be preserved. What is that? That is the body. Can anyone preserve the body? No. Maximum duration is how much? Maybe 80 years or 100 years. The body is bound to die. But that which is eternal, it can never be extinct or terminated. And he explains how. That the spiritual spark, the soul is Avinashi. Avinashi means it is imperishable, indestructible. So in this way, Krishna gives this knowledge, this gyan. And we have discussed it in many verses. Nowhere else will you find such graphical description, details, and delineation of body and soul. That is only and only exclusively in Bhagavad Gita. No other scripture in the world gives such a detailed discussion or understanding how to understand the difference between body and soul and how to come to the platform of soul. Why? Because till the time we misidentify, our objective, our goal cannot be fulfilled. What is the goal? What is the goal of human life? To be happy. To be happy. Isn't it? Why we are making so much of effort and endeavor? What is the purpose? Do you want to be sad? No. You want to be happy. But because we have wrong identification, we have wrong conception, through the body we can never be happy. So we have to come to the platform of soul. So Krishna is elevating Arjuna, and through Arjuna he is enlightening and educating and elevating all of us to graduate from the level of body to come to the platform of soul by giving this understanding, this knowledge. So Krishna has explained this, and he says that in the 20th verse that for the soul there is neither birth nor death at any time. He has not come into being. That means there is no date. And there is no date of origin. It is there since time immemorial. So if there is no date of origin, that means there is no date of expiry. Isn't it? You see in this material world, everything which has a date of origin, it has a date of expiry. So that is for the body. The body has, that is why we are very happy. We are celebrating birthday. What an immature thing. We are still identifying ourselves with body. We have nothing to do with body. The body is born to die. What is there to celebrate about it? But because of ignorance, we are feeling very happy. So Krishna is saying that the soul is unborn, eternal, ever existing, and primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain. So the first knowledge, the first wisdom, the first gyan which Krishna gives is to understand the difference between body and soul. And this knowledge or this understanding is not easy. Although we will speak, you may hear also. But to be able to realize it, it requires a different level of maturity and different level of consciousness. It cannot be, it is not conceivable. It is inconceivable. The human intelligence fails to be able to distinguish between matter and spirit. So Krishna says that the body is compared to the garment. He gives a very graphical example and analogy in the 22nd verse, that as a person puts on new garments, giving up old ones, the soul similarly accepts new material bodies, giving up the old and useless one. So what is there to be sorrowful about it? If you change your dress, how do you feel? Sad. Do you ever think about the old worn out torn clothes? No. So similarly, the bodies are changing. When the soul is in the old body, when the body is worn out, so it changes the body. So what is there to lament about it? What is there to have distress about it? And again, Krishna explains that the soul's property is such that it cannot be cut by any weapon. It cannot be burned by fire. It cannot be moistened by water, not by wind. So no material means, please try to understand, in this entire creation, there is nothing which can harm the soul. Or it can even reach the soul. So that is the level of soul. Why? Because it is connected to the Supreme Lord. And everything else that we have or that we possess is connected to nature. So it is temporary. And it cannot be preserved. So Krishna has given this, and then he says that even if you think that the soul does not exist, most of us, our intelligence fail. Do we accept? Intelligence does not register. So he says, if however you think that the soul will always be born and die forever, that means you do not understand the conception of soul. You still remain at the level of body. You still have no reasons to lament. Why? Because that will take birth again, which will die, it is going to take birth again. And he gives this principle. And he says that the living beings, they are all unmanifest in the beginning, and they become manifest in the interim and unmanifest again. So what is there to lament, or what is there to feel moroseful? So after speaking this entire discourse in so many verses, now he is giving, Krishna is giving the crux, which is in the 29th verse. You want to hear the 29th verse? Very beautiful verse. So Krishna is saying, Ashcharyavat pashyati kaschidenam, Ashcharyavat vadati tatheva chanyah, Ashcharyavat chenam anyam shrunoti, Shrutva piyenam vedana cheva kaschid. So you see one word which is being repeated, that is Ashcharya. So Ashcharya means which is amazing. So this topic itself is so amazing about the soul. He says that Ashcharyavat pashyati kaschidenam. Pashyati, you understand? Pashya. Pashya means to be able to see. So some see the soul as amazing. Do we see the soul? We don't see the soul. So, but those who are able to see, how? Vimudha nanu pashyanti, when we will come to the 15th chapter, Krishna will speak that ordinary man cannot see. But one who is trained in knowledge, which knowledge? Knowledge which Krishna is giving in Bhagavad Gita. Through that knowledge, we can see the soul. So how the soul is? The soul is amazing. Some look on the soul as amazing. And Ashcharyavat vadati tatheva chanyam. And others who describe about the soul, how they describe, that is also amazing. While others who are hearing, like I am speaking, you are hearing, isn't it? So they hear about him as amazing. Ascharyavat Chenam Anyam Shunoti. Shunoti means the sense of hearing, is to hear. But what is the conclusion? Krishna says, Shrutuman api Vedana Cheva Kashtir. Even after hearing about him, cannot understand him at all. Why? Because this is inconceivable by human effort or intelligence. Then why are you speaking, sir? If it is not possible to understand anything, so why have you given so much of detail and description? So it is possible. How it is possible is explained in the purport. So Prabhupada says, since Gita Upanishad, okay, there are some online viewers also. The Gita Upanishad is largely based on the principles of the Upanishad. It is not surprising to also find this passage in the Katha Upanishad. So there are Vedas, you all know. It is Shruti. Vedas are called Shruti. Principally, there are 3 Vedas. But before the Kali Yuga, the Vedas were passed on through the hearing process. There was no text. It was not scripted. But when Kali Yuga was to enter, to start, in Kali Yuga, the memory of the human race has become very limited. Yesterday, right time, where were you? At 8 o'clock, do you remember? You have to think. 1 month back, 1 year back, 10 years back. Can you remember? Not remember. So the memory is very short. So it had to be further divided by Vyasadeva, and he compiled it, he scripted it. So that is the 4 Vedas. But Vedas are very difficult. Vedas are in Sanskrit, and it is in the coded form. Not everyone can understand. So to explain the Vedas, there are Upanishads, which are easy to understand. So there are principally 4 Vedas, and there are 108 Upanishads. So Gita Upanishad is one of the principal Upanishad. And in other Upanishad, the same verse is being found, which Srila Prabhupada is quoting. He says, Shavanapi bahubiryo nalabhya shanvanto api bhavo yamna vidyuhu ascharya-vakto kushalo asya labdha ascharya-asya gnata kushala-anushishtaha. So the same kind of composition is there. The fact that the atomic soul is within the body of a gigantic animal. So the soul, the size of the soul remains the same for every living entity. Whether it is in the body of an ant, which is very small, or even if it is in the body of a gigantic whale. The size of the soul does not differ. And it has so much of power, it has so much of energy, it infuses life in the body, and it makes the body move and perform all activities. That is why as soon as the soul leaves the body is dead. Does it perform any action? No. So that is the soul within the body of a gigantic animal, in the body of a gigantic banyan tree, and also in a microbe germs, millions and billions of which occupy only an inch of space, is certainly very amazing. So this is the amazing aspect of the soul. That it is so minuscule, but it is the source of all energy. Men with poor fund of knowledge and men who are not austere cannot understand the wonders of the individual atomic spark of spirit. So why we are facing so much of difficulty in understanding this concept of soul? The Prabhupada is explaining here. Why? Because we have not received knowledge from the right source. What is the right source? Bhagavad Gita. So unless and until we receive knowledge from Bhagavad Gita, we become a student of Bhagavad Gita. We approach Bhagavad Gita as it is to be approached. This subject matter cannot be known. It will remain distant, unknown. And second aspect, what Srila Prabhupada is emphasizing, is men, those who are not austere. You understand what is austerity? Basically, those who are not disciplined, or basically those who are not regulated. Like for a person, for a student to accomplish good marks, or he to be an outstanding, what he has to be? What is the first essential requirement? He has to be disciplined. He has to study. If he sometimes study and most of the time he does not study, can he accomplish success? No. So this is those who are men with poor fund of knowledge, they cannot understand what is soul proper. And secondly, those who are not austere. Austere means those who are not regulated, those who are not disciplined. We are on page number 103. So for them, so most of the people in this age of Kali, they are with these two qualifications. That neither they have the proper knowledge, nor they are austere. So where is the possibility of getting any understanding of the soul? Even though it is explained by the greatest authority of knowledge. Who is the greatest authority of knowledge? Lord Shri Krishna. He is himself explaining. But even if he explains, and one is not austere, and one has not received the knowledge in the proper frame of consciousness, he will not be able to understand this conception of soul. Who imparted lessons even to Brahma, the first living being of the universe. Owing to a gross material conception of things, most men in this age cannot imagine how such a small particle can become both so great and so small. So men look at the soul proper as a wonderful either by constitution or by description. Illusioned by the material energy, people are so engrossed in subject matters for sense gratification that they have very little time to understand the questions of self-understanding. So people are very busy. Busy in what? In trying to maintain the body. A classic example is given. You have seen a bird. Sometimes people keep the bird in their house. So how do you keep the bird? Do they keep the bird free? What they have? A cage, right? So the bird is there and the cage is there. And where is the bird? The bird is inside the cage. So if we want to have the bird alive, so what we have to do? Feed the cage? Right? If we just polish the cage, so the bird will be happy? No. Similarly, we are the bird, which is inside the cage. That is the soul. And this cage is compared to the body. So what are we doing? Day and night, what are we doing? Whom are we polishing? Whom are we feeding? Cage. So we should be happy. What will happen? If we keep polishing the cage, what will happen? The bird will die. This is what is happening. We are, transmigrating from one body to another body. The Prabhupada is explaining here, owing to gross material conception, most men of this age cannot imagine how such a small particle become so great and so small. So men look at the soul proper as wonderful either by constitution or by description. Illusion by material energy. So please try to understand. No one is in the right frame of mind or in the right frame of consciousness. Why? Because of material energy. The influence of material energy is there on everyone. And what is the influence? Illusion. What is the illusion? What which is asat, what which is unreal, we consider as to be real. And what that is real, we do not consider it to be, what is unreal, we do not consider it. Sorry. Yeah, you got the point. Huh? So this is because of the material energy. People are so engrossed in subject matters for sense gratification, they have very little time for understanding the question of self-understanding. Even though it is a fact
that without this self-understanding, all activities result in ultimate defeat. So coming in this human form of life and not knowing who we are and not fulfilling the purpose of life, what is the result? What is the result? Failure, complete failure. Complete failure. Yeah. All activities result in ultimate defeat in the struggle for existence. Perhaps they have no idea that one must think of the soul and thus make a solution to the material miseries. So all these material miseries are there only to the extent we are identifying ourselves with the body. So till the time we exist in this material world, until the time we connect or relate or identify ourselves with body, we will always be miserable. Why? Because body is subject to change. Change. Can anyone stop the changes in the body? It is impermanent. And that impermanent change will always bring anxiety and pain. So with this knowledge which Krishna is giving, we have to elevate and connect ourselves to the platform of soul, which is eternal, which has no change. Which has no change, so there is no question of any misery or any suffering. Suffering and miseries are only on the platform of temporary. On the eternal plane, there is no question about it. So then Prabhupada says, some people who are inclined to hear about the soul may be attending lectures. We are attending in good association. But sometimes, owing to ignorance, they are misguided by acceptance of the super soul and the atomic soul as one, without distinction of magnitude. So there are these principles and conceptions that the living individual is, the soul is a spiritual spark. But that spiritual spark is not the same as the super soul. The super soul also resides in the heart of each and individual soul. So as we have already discussed and spoken, that the individuality of the soul is always maintained. You get my point? No one can take away our existence. Neither it can be merged, nor it can be cut. Getting? So the super soul is distinct and the individual soul is also distinct. Both does not become one. This theory of oneness is for those who do not have the understanding of the principle of soul. It is because of their being less intelligent. As Prabhupada is saying, poor fund of knowledge. It is very difficult. Prabhupada says it is very difficult to find a man who perfectly understands the position of the super soul, the atomic soul, which is the individual soul, and their respective functions and relationships, and all other major and minor details. Very difficult to find someone now who has clear understanding and realization. He may have information, but not the realization. Krishna will speak in the next section, after giving this knowledge, how to realize this knowledge, how to come to the platform of soul. That is the next section that we will discuss. It's very, very difficult to find such a pure person. And then Prabhupada says that it is still more difficult to find a man who has actually derived full benefit from knowledge of the soul, and who is able to describe the position of the soul in different aspects. But if somehow or other one is able to understand the subject matter of the soul, then one's life is successful. So what should be the mission in human life? Is to understand the position of the soul. If this has not been understood, everything you have heard, that is a saying from Bible. What profiteth a man if he gains the whole world, yet he loses the eternal self, his soul? सुना है नहीं सुना? नहीं सुना? It is there in Bible. What profiteth a man? क्या लाभ है? आपने कुछ भी इकट्ठा कर लिया या कुछ भी प्राप्त कर लिया, if you have lost your own self. So how to become successful? How to understand this subject matter of soul? The Prabhupada gives the solution. How? In the next para he says, the easiest process for understanding the subject matter of self, however, is to accept the statement of Bhagavad Gita, spoken by the greatest authority, Lord Krishna. So how one can know about this soul, his description, like Krishna is explaining. As I said, nowhere else you will get any information or knowledge about it. So what we have to do? We have to accept this knowledge from the Supreme Lord without being deviated by other theories. And to be able to receive the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, what we require is some regulation, some discipline. So Prabhupada says, but it also requires a great deal of penance and sacrifice, either in this life or in the previous one. So unless and until one has been purified, what it requires to be purified. Purified means all the impure characteristics have been transformed. That means he is a pure person. So only to the extent we become pure. In the impure state, we cannot have any understanding of the subject matter of soul. Why we are not able to understand the soul? Because we are not pure. So how to become pure is by following the instructions. Before one is able to accept Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So one cannot even understand about the soul, and one cannot even understand about Krishna. Because unless and until he accepts Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, this knowledge will not be revealed. समझ में आ रहा है? जब तक आप IRI में एनरोल नहीं होंगे, PhD मिलेगा? मिलेगा? नहीं मिलेगा. You have to first become enrolled here. You have to pass the entrance test. Not only the entrance test, you should have passed your BSc, MSc, whatever. Then only you will get the enrollment in PhD. So here it is said that it requires a great deal of penance and sacrifice either in this life or in the previous lives. Why? Because the soul is transmigrating. Why people do not believe in the existence of soul? Or why they fail in the acceptance of existence of soul? What is the main reason behind it? Raise your hand and speak. Yes, Mamta. What is your understanding?
Because they are in the illusion.
That is there. One is that they are in the illusion. What else is there? What is the main cause? Yes.
If they know that they are soul, then they will not enjoy, because when they enjoy, then they know that they will get another body, mostly supply.
So
They want to know all these people.
they have a fear because they are committing sinful activities. And if there is transmigration of soul, that means the soul is changing the body, then what they do now, they will have to suffer next. So if someone knows that what he does now is something wrong, he will be liable to be punished. Will he commit the mistake? No. So this is what is complete ignorance. Just because they do not accept, it does not mean it does not apply. Like somebody is going in the roadside. He says, I did not see the traffic light. It was red. So I passed. Will he be let free? Will he be allowed to move? He will be penalized. He will be punished. So similarly, because people, they want to enjoy unrestrictedly. And when they want to enjoy unrestrictedly, they do not want to follow or obey the rules and regulations. So they are committing sinful activity. So because they are committing sinful activity and they do not want to give up this activity, obviously their brain is not working. Their intelligence is not there, that they do not accept this conception of soul. Why? Because it suits them. Bhasmi bhutasya dehina punaragamano kutha. When this body is burnt to ashes, how will it come back? So that is complete ignorance. But Prabhupada says in the last line something very, very important. He says that Krishna can, however, be known only such by the causeless mercy of his pure devotees and by no other way. So this one statement, it surpasses everything else. That if one has the mercy of a pure devotee, what he will come to know? That Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And one who has understood this point, that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, what will happen to him? He can receive this knowledge. He will become recipient of this knowledge. And his life will be successful. Understood this verse? Any doubt? So some look at the soul as amazing. Some describe about the soul as amazing. Some hear about the soul as amazing. But even after hearing, speaking, they do not get any understanding. Why? 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 Now you please analyze. I have described why they could not understand. What is the reason? What is the principal reason? We discussed through the purport. Wait, let others also try. Yes, Shreya? Yes, that is one reason. They are illusioned by the material reality. We don't want to think. People say, soul world ki baare mein baat karo to bekar hai. It is good. Why? Because it is beyond our comprehension. Out of sight, out of mind. Okay, what are the other reasons? Yeah, okay. The poor fund of knowledge, because they are illusion. So poor fund of knowledge. What else? Divankar?
They do not accept the instructions. They do not accept the transformation.
Yeah, very good. What is the other reason? The principal reason. Yeah. That is true. No, I will discuss the purport. Yeah, because they are not austere. Prabhupada writes in the purport. Man with poor fund of knowledge and those who are not austere. Austere means regulated. What is the difference in human life and animal life? Just think about it. What is the difference in human life and animal life?
We have a time like we lead a distributor, we sleep at distributor. Animals are not, they will sleep whenever they feel like sleeping, whenever they take water.
And what about humans? What is the difference?
We have time till they have discipline.
We are having some discipline. And if we remove discipline from our life and animal life, where is the difference? Is there any difference? There is no difference. So now the modern man is very fast moving in the species of animals. Why? Because from his life, there is no regulation. They said, don't give me any rules and regulations. Isn't it? Don't show me what I have to do. I will decide what I have to do. So where we are heading? Towards the animalistic life. An animal can an animal sit here? Can we bring a cat who's moving around in the IRI campus, sit and understand what is the soul properly? So the human whose consciousness is just like animal, how can he understand souls? Cannot understand soul. So very important. Human life is the life of responsibility. Responsibility means that we should be knowing what is the purpose. And we are focused to achieve that purpose. And for that, whatever is required to be sacrificed, we give up. No pain and no gain. Have you heard that? When Krishna concludes this, I will take the next verse also. Krishna concludes this section of Atma Gyan in the 30th verse. He says, Dehi nityam abadyoyam dehe sarvasya bharata tasmat sarvani bhutani natvam shochitum arhasi. Again, he is using this term Dehi. And Dehi is Nityam. What is Dehi? Dehi, which is inside the body. Inside the body. Not visible. So Dehi Nityam, and it is Avadyoham. Whether you understand, that can be killed. So it is Dehi is Nityam. Nityam means it has eternal existence. It cannot be terminated, it cannot be killed. And second quality of the Dehi is Dehi Sarvasya Bharata. So that Dehi is not just within the human body. It is in every species of life. So some people have this understanding or misunderstanding rather, that the soul is present only in human body. Have you heard that? I have heard that. When Prabhupada, how many of you have read Science of Self-Realization? So when Prabhupada was speaking to some of the priests in Europe and US, so Prabhupada challenged them. And he said that your Bible says, thou shalt not kill. That is the first commandment of Lord Jesus. And you say that you are Christ. Christ means those who are followers of Jesus Christ. So if you do not follow Jesus Christ, Prabhupada said, show me one Christian. Show me one Christian. Why? Christian means he has to follow the commandments of Christ. Then only he is Christian. Na? If we say we are followers of Prabhupada, then we must follow what Prabhupada is giving. Otherwise, what kind of follower are you? We are fake. In the name of follower, we are fake. So he said that, why do you kill the animals? You kill the animals, you slaughter them and you eat. And you are saying that you are Christians. So you know what the priest said? He said, Swamiji, the animals have no soul. The animals have no soul. So it is okay to kill them and eat them. But here what Krishna is saying, Dehe Sarvasya Bharata. He says that Tasmat Sarvani Bhutani. In every living species, the Dehi is inside the Deha. Natvam Shochitum Harasi. O descendant of Bharata, he who dwells in the body, that is the soul, can never be slain. Therefore, you need not grieve for any living being. What to speak of this? Kings and soldiers who are assembled. He may be in any species of life. The Prabhupada says that the Lord now concludes this chapter of instructions on the immutable spirit soul. In describing the immortal soul in various ways, Lord Krishna establishes that the soul is immortal, cannot be cut, cannot be burned, cannot be withered, cannot be moistened. And the body is temporary. So the soul can never be harmed and the body can never be preserved. Therefore, Arjuna as a Kshatriya should not abandon his duty out of fear that his grandfather and teacher Bhishma and Drona will die in the battle. On the authority of Sri Krishna, one has to believe that there is a soul different from the material body. Although we don't see it. Do we see it? No. Can we conceive it? No. Can we perceive it? Yes. Yes. We perceive the souls. How? If somebody pinches us anywhere, what do we feel? Pain. And if you go and pinch someone whose soul gone, no. So the perception is there, but how that perception can come when one follows the teaching of Bhagavad Gita. So here Prabhupada is saying, on the authority of Sri Krishna, one has to believe that there is a soul different from the material body. As I have explained before, by any material means, science will never ever be able to know what is soul. Why? Because by any material means, the spirit can never be known. So unless and until one comes to the spiritual platform, there is no way he can access. Not that there is no such thing as soul, or the living symptoms develop at a certain stage of material maturity resulting from the interactions of chemicals. So there is another theory. If that was true, then mothers and fathers are not required. Your IARI lab will be the incubation ground. All babies will be born in the labs. They were trying test tube babies, but has it worked? Then why the mothers have to take the labor pain? Test tube baby will be there. This is all farce, completely farce. Though the soul is immortal, violence is not encouraged, but it does not mean. Now we have understood that the soul cannot be killed. So somebody takes a gunfire and he starts to shoot because the soul cannot be killed. What is killed is the body, and the body that has died now, it is sure to take birth again. So why am I being caught? No. Why? Because every soul has to pass through his karma. And he is given a body, suitable body, according to his deeds and his desires. According to his karma and his desires, he gets a suitable body. So violence is not encouraged, but at the time of war, it is not discouraged when there is an actual need. That need must be justified in terms of sanction of the Lord and not capriciously. So we cannot decide. That is to be decided by a superior authority, a spiritual authority. So in this way, Krishna is giving this full discourse on the difference between body and soul, temporary and eternity, that which is immortal and that which is sure to terminate. This is the first gyan, the first item of knowledge which Krishna gives in Bhagavad Gita. Very important. And then Krishna will explain. So Gita means, G means guru or guide, spiritual guide. And what he does, first he gives us the right identity. He removes the misidentification or wrong identification of our life. We may have so many of our own illusion conception. So what the Guru does, he removes all the misconceptions. So Krishna is giving the right identity to Arjuna. And you should know who you are and what is your duty. And when we perform those duties, that is the next section. That will be from verse number 31 till 38. That we will discuss next time. So unless and until one performs his duties, he can never realize that he is soul. His understanding always will be on the level of matter. He will identify and he will always relate himself with material body. That elevation will not happen. That purification will not happen. So Bhagavad Gita is very revolutionary. You see, Bhagavad Gita, people are fearful when we give Bhagavad Gita. हम भी आपकी तरह सन्यासी हो जाएंगे. No. Bhagavad Gita gives us the understanding that we must perform our duty. We can never run away from performing our duty. This human form of life means that one has to be responsible. One cannot be irresponsible. Arjuna wanted to run away from the battle, but Krishna did not allow him. Arjuna was crying and Krishna was smiling. He said, what a fool you are. These are the best of friends. The friend is really a right friend who does not allow you to deviate. Then he is your true friend. Otherwise what? You deviate and go to hell and he will also go to hell. And both of you rot in hell. The real friend is who will not allow you to deviate, who will not allow you to incur suffering. So Krishna is that friend. And in Bhagavad Gita, he is inviting us to develop friendship with him. When we will come in the 5th chapter, he says, Suhidam sarva bhutana gyatva mam shantem richati. That I am the best well-wishing friend of all the living entities. But gyatva mam, come to know me. Come develop friendship with me. How? By knowing about him. by knowing what he wants us to do. That is what he gives in Bhagavad Gita. So would you like to know what he wants us to do? He wants us to be eternally happy. Like a child who says, I will not go to school, I will play and I will be happy. Will he be happy? What the parents have to do? They have to slap him and push him to go to school. So this way Krishna is removing the illusion from the heart of Arjuna. And through Arjuna, he is removing the illusion from our hearts also. Okay, so I'll stop here. I have some time. So if there are any questions, any doubts, you may ask. Let us have some discussion so that the conception can go deeper into our understanding. Otherwise, it will remain in the book. Yes, sir. Where? Which verse? Which verse? We took 2 verses. Okay.
First paragraph.
Okay.
And the illusion by the mental energy, which will also involve the subject matter of self-application, that they have very little time to understand the question of self-understanding. Even though it is in fact that without this self-understanding, all activities become the ultimate defeat.
Yeah.
The defeat is completely that
Defeat means or whatever we have done, what will happen? Everything will be finished. At the time of death, everything will be taken away. Why we have been given this human form of life? To be able to realize, to come to this level of realization that we are not temporary bodies. We are neither the temporary mind. We are eternal soul. And the soul has an eternal relationship with the Supreme Lord. So if that has not been, cultivated or that has not been realized, everything else is what? If somebody has studied for 4 years and he did not get a PhD degree, what is the value? What is the value? He may have attended all the classes, he may have, given the best of notes or lectures or whatever. But if he does not have a PhD degree, what is the use? Will he get a job anywhere? Same. But still, the illusion is so thick, nothing will change. We will remain the same. That is why Krishna is saying, Ashcharyavat. This is the biggest amazement. This is the greatest wonder of the world. They are not the 7 wonders of the world. They will keep coming and going. But this wonder will never change. This is the wonder. That people will come, they'll come in this human form of life and they will fail. They will not be able to understand what is this as subject matter of soul. No, where we want to remain? 99.9%? 99.99999%. So Prabhupada is emphasizing everything else will result in defeat. So how the success can be there? What is the formula for success?
But if somehow or other, if one is able to understand the subject matter of the soul, then one life is successful.
And how one can understand? Prabhupada has concluded that. Do we accept Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Do we accept Krishna's all instructions in Bhagavad Gita? If we are not accepting Krishna's instruction in Bhagavad Gita, that means what? We are still considering our mind to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Not Krishna. Where is Krishna? Nowhere. Me and my mind. They are the Supreme Person. So you have to be very scrutinizing. The Prabhupada has given the solution. If you can see. Yeah. Causeless mercy of a pure devotee. Gurudev Kripa Bindu Diya. Today only I was discussing with His Grace Rukmani Krishna. We had a long discussion in the Rath Yatra. Very, very few will be able to receive this or accept this or apply this. Not everyone. Why? Because what one has to do, one has to change, one has to transform. Okay. Any other question? Let us have some question, discussion. Yes, Dinesh.
Lord Krishna has said that yoga, jnana yoga, karma yoga, and bhakti yoga. So according to the personality, we have to follow one or two yoga, or we have to follow the whole system.
Very good question. See, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna gives the full comprehension. Krishna talks about first karma. Because mass of men, they are all action oriented. Why? The reason for that is everybody is driven by the mode of passion. In mode of passion, there is this endeavor. Krishna will explain in the further chapters. So Krishna gives the opportunity to everyone, whoever is in whatever level of consciousness. Like in IRI, whoever has come in, there is an opportunity for everyone to get degree. Na? Whether he comes first or he comes 10th or he comes 50th, but opportunity is given to everyone, no? To become a PhD. It is not that only first 10 will get, others will not get. It's not like that. So Krishna talks about the path of karma. He says, karmanevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. But do we accept? Ma phaleshu kadachana? Why? Who are you to decide? When effort is mine, endeavor is mine, how can you decide what I will receive and what I will not receive? Very, very difficult. Then Krishna is also giving the Jnana Yoga. For those who are not inclined, those who do not want to work. Because they know they are in this knowledge. That if I perform action, what the action brings? Counter action or reaction. I am bound by karma. So again, I have to take birth and I have to suffer. So I will not work. Isn't it? The class of men. Those who want to be in Himalayas, or those I was lived in Varanasi for long, so I could see many of the sannyasis there. They do not perform any action because action binds. Like Buddha philosophy is there. That if you take this body, you have to suffer. So what do you do? Nirvana. Nobody. What Krishna is saying, the individuality of the soul can never be compromised. It can never be. There is no state of nirvana. Nirvana means he is freed. That means there is no suffering. He has come to this platform of realization that he is not temporary body, he is soul. And Krishna also gives bhakti. He says both the other paths are very difficult to pursue and to perfect. But this path is easy. So that is why he concludes. In many, many places in Bhagavad Gita, he is concluding. Krishna is giving his opinion. Yoginam api sarvesham madgatena antaratmana shraddhavan bhajate yomam seme yukta tabomata. So yoginam api sarvesham, among all the classes of yogis. What are the classes of yogi? He may be a karma yogi, he may be a jnana yogi, he may be an ashtanga yogi, he may be a dhyana yogi, whatever, or a hatha yogi. Whatever yogis, he says yogi nam api sarvesham madgatena antaratmana, one who is meditating on me. And he is Shraddhavan. He is faithful. And he is performing devotional service unto me, Bhajate Yomam. Same Yukta Tamamata. He is the best. He is the best among all the classes of yogi. Why? Because if you see, in Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga, the emphasis is on own endeavor, on own ability, on own intelligence. Isn't it? But in Bhakti Yoga, it is very different. Why? Because the emphasis is on receiving mercy from Krishna. Have you seen? I'll give you, Prabhupada gives a very good example. Have you seen Mother Monkey? The kid, the child, he catches the mother. And when they are jumping, many times the kid falls. And he gets injured. Why? Because who has caught? The child, the baby has caught. How solid is his grip? Weak. But in terms of cats, the mother catches the kitten in her mouth and carries. Can it ever fall? It can never fall. Never fall. Well, that is the difference. So here the dependence is on Krishna. And in Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga, Hatha Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, all other Dhyana Yoga, the dependence is on own endeavor and effort. What is the capacity? What is the capacity? Very weak. Bound to be failure. Isn't it? Like some students are there with you. Some of them depend on you. And some of them depend on their own, that they will complete their PhD. Who will complete? Got the answer? Okay. So Krishna is explaining everything, because there will be still many souls who will still try. Okay, Krishna will be saying, but let me try Karma Yoga. Let me try Ashtanga Yoga. It may work for me. Try. Right? So many times Krishna is saying, Bhaktya mam abhijanati yavan yashchashmi tatvata. He said it is only through devotional service. Bhaktya mam abhijanati. Otherwise one cannot know. Naham prakasha sarvasya yoga maya samavritam. Abhijananti mam huda manushim tanumashrita. So that access is not there. Special access is one who is coming through his pure devotee. Okay, from the online viewers, most of them video is off. Yes, Ravindra Prabhu and Priyanka. Everything clear on this subject matter of soul, difference between body and soul? So you are a self-realized soul now. How many of you have become self-realized soul? No, we should not leave it. This subject matter, the more we discuss, the more we show interest, there is possibility. Yet we can be removed from this illusion. Yeah.
How to receive the causeless concept of devotee?
How to receive? Don't you know? How to receive the causal mercy?
Serving.
By following him. That is service. Following him. Simple.
Find pure devotee. Already necessarily.
As you seek, so shall you find. Prabhupada says the cheaters get cheated, and the pure also get the pure ones. Depends on our intention. Krishna is there in our heart. Okay, I'll stop here. It is 9 o'clock. Thank you very much. So next time we will start the next section. That is of two duties. The second chapter is very easy to remember. Everyone knows the word Gita. So the first 7 verses talks about G, which is Guru. So if we do not have a Guru or guide in our life, then it is like a ship which has no rudder. You understand what is rudder? Rudder, or that gives direction. And what is the guidance the Guru gives? Is identity. The first 10, sorry. Yeah, from first till first 10 verses is Guru. And next from 11 till 30th verse, Guru gives identity. Or he gives us the right conception or right understanding as to who we are and what is the purpose of life. And then he also gives us the process, how to achieve the purpose of life. So Krishna gives 2 duties. So that is the next section. I wanted to show it, but somehow projector was not there. I have a full presentation. I presented it in 2014. I prepared one PPT. Somehow could not share. And one who performs that 2 duties sincerely, under guidance, under direction, he comes to the platform of realizing Atma, Atma Gyan. That is the final section of this chapter. This is all what is Gita. Does it talk about religion? Does it talk about Hinduism? It talks about our own fundamental conception and our own success in real life. Okay, very interesting.
Like you told that G explained 1 to 10 sloka.
Yeah. Identities from 11 to 30. And the next section, the two duties Krishna will explain. That is from verse number 31 till the question which Arjuna puts, 53rd, 54, till 53. Yeah, Krishna will speak about two duties. What is the two duties? Occupational and constitutional. The two duties. Everyone has to perform two duties. If one, like a railway track, if there is only one track, what will happen? It cannot move. Rail cannot move. And the final section is from 54 till 72. One who is at the level of Atma. What are his symptoms? How he responds in his real life situations. When situation, disturbing situation comes. So how he accepts those situations and how he responds. Very interesting. So Krishna is giving the brief of Karma Yoga also. How? By the occupational duty. Yeah. And then Krishna is also giving Jnana and Krishna is also giving Bhakti. By the constitutional duty. That is the Bhakti. So Krishna is introducing the entire subject matter of Bhagavad Gita in this second chapter. So he's giving the synopsis. And this we will detail in other chapters. Very interesting. Who says Bhagavad Gita is boring? No, it is not boring. People do not know what is Bhagavad Gita. What is the subject matter of Bhagavad Gita? The subject matter of Bhagavad Gita is only one. Only one. And how we can have 100% success in human form of life. Who is not interested? Actually, who is less intelligent? He will not be interested. Okay. So thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.